out of town. So unfortunately, he's not here to make this presentation. So if you want to leave now, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. Sandy, you don't have to start. Felina, you don't have to start that video. That's okay. I'm going to do the best that I can. I do have frontline experience with everything that Cliff was going to be talking about this morning, so I hope that you'll hang on for the ride and enjoy this. One of the things that I do offer is sarcasm, so if you're sarcastically challenged, this may be an interesting 30 to 45 minutes for you. Just FYI. I encourage feedback. I may not have the answers to the question, but if I don't, I'll make something up. So, and I told my coworkers that are here with me, I said, you guys are making me nervous because I can't really BS my way through this anymore, but they know what I'm going to say about this stuff. So, the rest of y'all, I can lie to you and say, oh, it all went great, but for these guys here, they know the real truth. Now, we're going to have some fun. I promise you, I'm not going to make you get up and dance like we just had to do in one of the other sessions, just FYI. I promise you also, I'm not going to kill you to death by PowerPoint. I've only got 78 slides to get through, so I'm kidding, it's only 12. I know we're scheduled for about an hour in here, is that about right? I think that's what the schedule says. I'm hoping not to go more than about 3, so I think we'll be good there.
3 hours?
Yeah, 3 hours. Yeah.
Otherwise.
I'm shooting for 30 to 45 minutes, to be honest. But my name is Brandon Smith. I work in the IT department. I am a customer service or customer experience consultant. I'm so new to it, I don't even know what my dadgum title is. Believe it or not, I just started that job yesterday. Before that, I don't need that.
I understand there was not a lot of money going to be spent on that.
All right.
You guys
You gotta get me mic'd up over here.
forfeiture fund, so probably want to go check with Chief Business and find out. I'm sure that's what that's about.
I know, right? Good Lord. I don't get paid enough for this. Okay. Check 1, 2. You guys get back there now? I thought it was just the microphone for the camera. It helps if you turn the whole thing on. How about now? There we go. A little higher, a little higher. One more button.
Put it on your lip.
Put it right here? Is that okay? Y'all are a good crowd. I like y'all already. So, I am a customer experience consultant. Originally, I was, oh good Lord, hang on for the ride on this one. I was the lead interoperability specialist on the emerging technology cohort inside the information technology division of the Business Support Services Agency of Mecklenburg County. Yeah, try fitting that on a business card, all right? Yeah. Basically what that meant was I was a technical trainer. That's a glorified term for it. What I got a chance to do was I got a chance to play with all of the new tools, TOYLS, that came to the county, such as the Surface 3s, the Surface 2s, the Dell Latitude 10s, the Venue 11s, all of these little mobile devices and all that stuff. So I got a chance to play with all of that stuff, learn it, and take it out to our customers and sit down with them and go, hey, this is how you use this stuff. A lot of IT shops, in my opinion, of course, are lacking that. We in IT are known for getting a brand new piece of equipment and going, oh, that's cool, here, customer, it's yours. And at that point, the customer is going, what is it and what do I do with it, right? So that's kind of where the basis of this presentation came from. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the things that we did with mobility inside the county. And the title of this is, what do you mean you've seen this before? It's brand new. Does anybody know where that quote came from? No, it's not. Well, it's from a movie. Anybody know movie quotes? Back to the Future. That's where that quote came from. When Marty went back, he was watching a brand new episode, but he thought that it was a rerun. There you go. There you go. Very good. So, getting started in this, what we're going to do, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mecklenburg County itself. So, Mecklenburg County, you see a little red dot up there, that's where we're at, in case you don't know. The great state of Mecklenburg. We're over in the middle of the state, down there near the bottom of South Carolina. The county basically serves a little over 1 million citizens. We just hit 1 million citizens about a couple months ago. I don't remember the exact time frame there. The county itself, we employ just a little over 5,800 employees. Full-time, contract, part-time, all of that fun stuff. We also have an IT staff of around 150. We're going through some big changes around our area. One of our big agencies just kind of got broke up, so we were about 250, and then some of those people got moved over into some other areas and all of that. So it kind of gives you a baseline of where we're at. Some of the stuff that we've got, some of our infrastructure profile. We use a hosted data center. We're at Peak 10, MCNC, And also, we have a presence in Azure. We also have a DR site up in Raleigh. Some of our other stuff, as far as our infrastructure goes, we are what Verizon considers a fairly large customer with about 3,500 mobile devices. Yeah, kind of a large customer. Wouldn't you guys agree with that? All right, so we've got around 3,500 devices. We've got a mix of Androids, Windows phones, iPhones, iPads, pretty much any kind of mobile device like that you guys know about. So we've got a lot of that stuff there. So you can kind of see where some of the challenges ran into, where you got all of these different platforms. What do you do with them, right? Some of the other stuff that we're dealing with, we got the Verizon MiFi devices. You guys are all familiar with those? Yes? No? Okay, just checking. Is everybody still awake? Need more coffee? All right, I'm just checking. Charlotte also is one of the new Verizon XLTE markets. If anybody's not familiar with that, you can talk to some of the Verizon reps downstairs. Whenever you get a chance, they can tell you all about that. One of the really cool things that just happened here in our county is Verizon just installed one of their new routers in our building. So we're in the process of getting that configured right now so that we actually have XLTE posted on one of our sites there. Going into a little bit more about us, we have approximately 6,000 laptops and desktops. That's on top of those 3,500 other mobile devices that we're using. So kind of see, we got a good mix of everything out there. It was so funny because I'm coming here to tell you guys about mobility, what we're doing there. And so I tell them, I'm like, guys, I need something to do a presentation about mobility. So it's great. They gave me this nice new iPhone and this to do my presentation with. A 4-year-old laptop. Really? I'm doing a presentation about emerging technology and mobility, and I get a laptop that looks like it's been through a small war. So, but I think whoever provided the laptop and presentation materials up here. Some of the other stuff we've got around 250 physical servers and about 400 virtual servers. We've also got our wireless network. We're using Arrowhide wireless network. We've got that across 26 different facilities inside the county, and that's spread across about 546 square miles of real estate. So you can see some of the challenges we ran into there. Some of the other stuff we're dealing with, EMC, VNX, SAN, we're using data storage out of our Peak 10. Roughly that costs us $26 a gig as far as that storage goes. Whenever we started moving over into Azure, we're down to 3 cents a gig. So you can see the savings there with that. One of the things that we saw with that also is all of our data is only charged on egress. So to put stuff up there costs us absolutely nothing. It's just on that egress whenever we're looking at that 3 cents per gig for Azure. Also, UCS chassis, we got 3 of those things. We kind of joke because we got enough horsepower there to run a small city with those things. But that's also powering our Cisco call centers. The county currently is rolling out about 6,000 new voice over IP phones. We're running about 3 to 4 different models of phones. It kind of depends on where you're at in the food chain as far as what type of phone you get. We're also using Kentry storage in our area. So, moving into the challenges. I love this quote. We don't have problems. We have challenges and opportunities. That was a quote from Mr. Cliff DeQuig. Basically, I think that was my nickname, was challenges and opportunities. So Cliff was great about saying to a customer, oh yeah, we can do that. And then he'd come to me and the rest of my team and go, all right guys, here's what we got to figure out how to do. So with us, we have multiple computing devices. You guys have probably seen that across your organizations now. You've got laptops, you've got desktops, you've got iPads, you've got Windows 8 devices, you've got probably Windows 7 devices spread in the mix. So that was one of the biggest challenges that we ran into, was all of these different devices. Just in the Windows 8 arena, we had 3 to 4 different types of devices that we were using. With the mobile workforce, we have a mobile workforce and we have not so mobile equipment. Right? You guys have seen that before? Where you get a 5 or 6 pound laptop that you have to carry around in meetings instead of having the MacBooks, the Windows Surfaces, the small thin books, the netbooks, things like that to be able to carry around. So with us, we've got caseworkers. Does anybody have like DSS caseworkers in your organizations? Show of hands. Okay, so you guys can relate. I'm making sure I can relate to you. I don't want to be talking, you guys just get completely lost here. We also have park and rec workers. Anybody affiliated with Park and Rec or know anything about Park and Rec workers? Just real quick, how spread out are your Park and Rec workers in your areas?
All of those.
Okay, so all over everywhere. Kind of the same thing with everybody else, right? They've spread across everywhere. I know in our facilities, and yours probably are as well, You've got some workers that come in for the day, they never even report to a facility. They just show up at a ball field to drag the field and mow the grass and clean the bathrooms, and then they move to another ball field. So that's one of the things that we're working with there. Going back to our caseworkers, one of the challenges that we ran into with our caseworkers, and you guys are out too, if you've got challenges as well that you ran into, and I would probably agree with you, they're just like our our Park and Rec workers. They're spread out across all of the county. You get a case that's up in the north part of the county, well, that's all well and good. You got to come to the center of the county to get your files and your folders and all of the documentation for the case. Then you have to go up to the north part of the county to do your home visit. Well, then there's another home visit that you got to go to down on the south part of the county. So you spend all day driving back and forth. Does that sound kind of familiar to anybody? Are there any other challenges like that you guys have ran into? Not really? Okay. Our NCLGISA department, which is also our Land Use Environmental Services Agency, that's comprised of our food and health inspectors, trades inspections, stormwater. There's a couple other agencies that are built into that one. But for right now, those are the main departments that are using these devices. Some of the challenges that we ran across, asset and data management, asset and data access. So being able to access things like your shared drives, your network storage, things like that. And you see where that can be a problem, where if you've got all of these documents stored online somewhere, that's all well and good, but then you have to be able to get to that document and get to that storage area. The management of assets. Mobile device management is a biggie. Right now we're in the process of putting AirWatch in so that we can do mobile device management. But that has been one of the biggest challenges for us, is being able to get the devices so that we can actually support them and also do a standardization. I was joking with one of our desktop guys last week because I just finished up a project where we rolled out 150 of the Windows 8 tablets to some of our youth and family services workers. And it was kind of funny because we did a standard image across the board for all of these devices. And then we had one senior manager that said, I really don't like the way that this is done. I'd kind of like to customize this a little bit. I want this and this and this. And so, our, of course, response was, well, we've got a standard. We can't do that. So after there was some discussion with upper management, we decided that we were going to make a non-standard standard image. That sound about right to anybody else? Okay, I'm making sure I'm touching base with you there. So with all of our standard workers, what we were doing is we were actually just using a local account on the computer. We were not putting Office on the computer, and we were using our VMware so that they could do all of their HIPAA, their PHI, all of that really important, governmental stuff that doesn't need to get on the front page of the newspaper. But of course, the senior manager wanted his set up a little differently because he doesn't really do any of that. He takes notes in meetings. He uses his tablet as a tablet instead of actually a computer to get to VMware. So I always like to joke about the non-standard standard image, and you guys know, if you've been in IT any amount of years, you know how that works. Compliance. We're all government agencies, right? So PII, PHI, PCI, and HIPAA data. Do I need to go into any details about any of that? Y'all know what that mess is, right? All right, great. So, with the challenges, I've touched on this for just a minute there. Our mobile workforce and our not so mobile equipment. So, with our caseworkers, they have printed case files. And over here in this little image, you see that basically the case file was laying over there. That's a minor portion of what some of these caseworkers are using in their case files. We had documents on top of documents on top of documents. Some of the pictures that I didn't put in the presentation today were actually our file storage rooms, where we had rooms and rooms and rooms of nothing but file storage, both stored locally there at our facilities and also in off-site facilities. So you can imagine the cost that's involved just with having to store all of those documents, all of that paperwork. The other thing too is, and I kind of joked about, the 5-pound brick of the laptop, but how heavy is a laptop and a bag and that sort of thing to carry around if you're having to go out on the site visits? One of our coworkers actually weighed her entire quote-unquote mobile office that she was using. She had one of the big bags that had the wheels and the rolls and all of that stuff. It weighed over 14 pounds because it included her laptop, her mouse, keyboard, a few other odds and ends in there, along with documentation, just like what you see here. So one of the terms that we actually are using is a cost avoidance, where you're talking about people hurting their backs, lifting up 15 and 20 pounds into the trunks of these cars whenever they go out into facilities. So you have that cost avoidance of the workman's comp claims, right? The other thing is multiple devices. In that bag, caseworkers are having to carry around laptops, cell phones, tablets. Sometimes they had to carry around a laptop and an iPad both at the same time. So it just adds to that weight. Our park and rec facilities, Sandy's gonna love this, her heart was with park and rec. So our park and rec facilities, we have 210 parks spread across 18,000 acres of parkland. There's 18 rec centers, 7 public golf facilities, 3 indoor pools, 2 outdoor pools, 3 nature centers, 1 public campground, multiple disc golf courses. There are 33 miles of developed greenways, 147 miles of undeveloped greenways, 21 nature preserves. That's a lot of facilities, right? So you were mentioning earlier about your guys having to go around all over the city, different parks. So you can kind of see where that was a challenge for us. The other thing too that was brought out about this was our park and rec workers having to carry cash. One of the things that we noticed with them is when they're out in the field, there was no way for them to take the electronic payments. So what we have done was we basically set them up with a system so that they can take credit card payments. We got another slide that actually talks a little bit about that, so I'm jumping ahead of myself. The other challenge was with our NCLGISA workers, our air quality, the code enforcement, and our solid waste, water, and land resources. These guys are all mobile. They're kind of like our caseworkers. They're going out across the county, all the square miles of the county, doing inspections, doing all that stuff. And also our health inspectors. The health inspectors basically are going out onto the fields, doing the restaurant inspections, that sort of thing. Same thing. You got all of that square miles, you got restaurants everywhere. You guys know, just here within this little community, there's 10 or 15 different restaurants. So you know how that could work if you have one here and then 5 miles from here you have to go to another one, and then you have to come back here for another inspection. The health inspectors also use basically what they call a mini mobile office. So what they were using, they have to take temperature inspections for food, they have to take all of this other stuff, so they have larger and larger pieces of equipment that they have to take with them on a daily basis. Lastly is our stormwater. They also use mobile devices for tracking, testing, for different stormwater runoff, quality, that sort of thing. So, some of the results that we got from this, we were able to empower our caseworkers. Basically, the caseworkers always felt like they were tied down to a device, basically tied to a bag, tied to something like that. You guys probably know that in some instances, especially youth and family services, I have ties back to DSS, so they're near and dear to my heart. Youth and family services, whenever they're called in to basically take a child out of a home, that may not be one of the best situations for a caseworker to be in. So if you've got a 15 or a 20-pound bag that you have to grab and get out of there in a hurry, you can see where that could be a safety concern or a safety issue for our staff. So what we did was we basically made them a lot more mobile. We dropped them down to a Surface 3 that only weighs 2 pounds. For that away, you can grab it and get out of there quick, fast, and in a hurry. The other thing is the increased productivity. We had a $3.2 million cost avoidance just from the productivity increase with our customers. What we noticed was the customer basically using the iPhones, using the mobile hotspot on those iPhones, they could go pretty much anywhere using a mobile device such as a tablet, the Windows 8 tablets, the Surface 2s and the Surface 3s, and they could fill in their case notes. They could go in, do everything that they needed to do on those cases, pretty much from a Starbucks, a Burger King, anywhere that has Wi-Fi, or they could go to one of our park and rec facilities, just sit there in the parking lot with their hotspot turned on, in the safety of their car, and be able to do all of their documentation. In the past, what would happen is they would have to have manual paper filled out, all of this stuff filled out on paperwork. They would have to then bring all of that back to the office, transpose all of that, literally typing it all into our case management system. So you can see where there's a lot of productivity lost because you're running a case in the north of the county, you have to come back to your central office, type all of that stuff in, well then you got another case that afternoon later on somewhere else in the county. Of course, then you have to drive all over the county. So part of that avoidance of cost was also the fuel cost. You guys know, gas isn't cheap. Even if it is governmental gas we're paying for, whatever it is, it's still not cheap. There's still that cost avoidance there. With the caseworkers, we also eliminated those paper storage costs. Now, I wished I had the numbers right off the top of my head, but unfortunately I don't, so I do apologize for that. But there was substantial cost savings from us being able to eliminate all of those document storage costs. All of the printed case files were transferred to our online storage. We're using OnBase and Dime. You want to talk about that later, I'll be happy to right after the presentation. One of the other things that I have kind of near and dear to my heart is the Office 365 implementation. That helped the county very immensely. Mecklenburg County, whenever we migrated to Office 365, we did it about 14 months ago. We were, according to Microsoft, we were the largest implementation of Office 365 this side of the Mississippi whenever we were implementing. We were bleeding edge, let's put it that way. You've heard of cutting edge, we were past that, we were on the bleeding edge of it. We did have some issues, I will tell you that much. Yeah, some of my coworkers here can go, yes, we did. So, yeah, it's okay to do that. They told me they were going to heckle me all the way through this. I'm surprised they haven't yet. So we had Office 365. We're in the government cloud. Whenever we first went to Office 365, we had 25 gigs of storage per person in OneDrive. That was bumped up to 100 gigs. Then it was bumped up to 1 terabyte of storage. And just recently, Microsoft announced that everybody in the government cloud now has unlimited OneDrive storage. So that's a lot of storage, right? I always thought 1 terabyte was a lot of storage, but whenever they said, yeah, forget that, it's unlimited now, that makes a lot of difference. The other thing that's not up there is actually unlimited online archiving. One of our things that we ran into, how many of y'all are running Exchange in your organizations? PST files, does that ring a bell with anybody? Is that a sore spot with anybody? Show of hands. Okay, great. I just want to make sure I wasn't the only one. PST files, as a matter of fact, I actually just worked with a customer last week that had a 10.8 gigabyte size PST file. One of the things that's included with our Office 365 Government Cloud is unlimited online archiving. So you have an in-place archive, online archive basically, that basically gives you freedom to put any type of archive stuff up there. You don't have to worry about those local PST files and those things clogging up your storage servers and all of that. Put all that stuff in the cloud and be done with it. SharePoint Online. That was actually a separate project that we worked on, moving all of our stuff from SharePoint locally. We actually were running a bit of a hybrid environment into SharePoint Online, and also our presence in Azure. We're currently working on starting to move some of our servers over into the Azure cloud. Of course, we got the governmental cloud over there as well. And that's been an ongoing project. Our mobile equipment, the standardized, non-standard list of equipment. We started off with the Dell Latitude 10s. We loved the Dell Latitude 10s when they first came out. We ran a project where we ran about 50 of those as a pilot project with DSS. They ran great. Drawbacks to them was battery life. That was one of the drawbacks that we had with them. So we started looking at other alternatives. Microsoft also came out with the Surface Pro 2, so we got a lot of the Surface Pro 2s. And then we also stepped up to the Surface Pro 3 whenever it came out. The biggest challenge that we've had with the 2s and the 3s, the 150 that we just rolled out, it was a mix of about 40 or 50 Surface 2s and the rest of them were all Surface 3s. The biggest challenge is I was actually the technical trainer, so I got to do all of the training with the customers and whatnot. It's funny because you got a group of 10 people in the training room, 3 or 4 of them have the 2s, the rest of them have the 3s. And so then you get that infighting. Well, why did that person get the 2 and I got the 3? Yeah, so if you're planning on going to mobile devices, think that strategy out just a little better than I did. I will admit to that. That was not the smartest thing on my part, getting all of the people's, together with the 2s and doing their training and get all these people together with the 3s. That's the better option for you. And we actually still have some people in the county that have Surface 2s that are a little PO'd about that still. Is that about right, Dallas? Not that you're bitter or sore or anything about that, but every time he walks past my desk, I just hear him go, Surface 3. All right. So the other device that we have been using for quite a while is the Dell XPS 12. I have been using the Dell XPS for, ever since it first came out. I absolutely love that little mobile device. It does everything I need to in a very small, lightweight platform. So that's personal experiences from these devices. Those are our recommendations. If you asked for recommendations, I know you didn't, but it's our recommendations. The other thing that we are using is VM Horizon View Client. We are partners with VM, with one of the preferred partners, I believe is what the title is. Cliff has actually went and done videos and interviews and all of this stuff nationwide, and I got a face made for radio. I don't need to be doing videos. Profile Unity was one of the biggest things that we implemented with PM. With Profile Unity, is anybody familiar with it, first of all? I don't want to have a whole room full of people that's going, all right, you're boring me to death. So we got a couple people. Profile Unity, what that does, you guys are used to on your current computers, You sign in, all your icons look how they look. You got your background set up the way they are, your favorites, all of that stuff's there. You sign into Profile Unity, what it does is it copies all of that up to the cloud. So whenever you sign into VM, your session in VM looks just like your desktop session. So the really cool thing about that is it's device agnostic, meaning I can sign in with a Mac, sign in with a PC, I can sign in with a cell phone, I can sign in with an iPad, I can sign into VM with a tablet. Does not matter whatsoever. It's the same experience whatsoever for all of your customers everywhere. So that's one of the things that was a great implementation for us, Profile Unity and the VMware Horizon client. One of the other things that we've implemented is a dedicated Verizon broadband. For that, we have a dedicated IP address. And it's great because the great example of this is, have any of y'all ridden the shuttles around to the different areas that they're offering here on the campus? Okay, so you guys notice every time you get on the bus, they radio it in. I got one guest going to the Carolina room. This is band number 19, whatever. However they're doing it. What we're using that for, in the county, Department of Social Services, that we actually offer member transportation systems, they offer transportation free of charge to DSS clients, basically to give from a doctor's appointment at home. So, say my grandmother, if she needed to use that, all she would have to do is she would call up, schedule that appointment, and they would go out. Now, can you kind of start seeing where we're going with this? If we have just an open radio frequency, you guys would know that Sally Smith has got a doctor's appointment this afternoon at 10:30, and I'm on my route right now taking her there. You can see where that could be a HIPAA type violation or a PII type violation. So with this broadband act, or this private cloud broadband that we've got, we are limited to that dedicated IP address. So we're not broadcasting all of that PII information across the entire county. So anybody with a scanner is not just sitting there listening to our type of information that's coming out.
Is that
Sure.
like the Verizon private network?
Yes. Yeah, it's very similar to like the Nextel network. You know how you kind of the two-way radio type thing?
Verizon has a private data network so that all your iPads are on basically your private. Do y'all do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, some of the results. Y'all know that person right there? That's Sandy. If not, she's right there. Did I need to get your permission to use that picture?
You did, but we'll talk about that.
Okay, all right. I'll pay you later. So, some of the results that we work with here, our park and rec workers. We have an increased productivity with our park and rec workers. They're able to go basically anywhere in the county. They have access to their devices anywhere that they're at. They don't have to specifically go to one of our main facilities, log in, check their email, all that stuff. They have email on their mobile devices, they have all of that. Increased revenue collections. Do any of y'all's government agency not like increased revenue collections? I don't know any county commissioners or city boards or any of that does not like to have an increased revenue. So with this, boat ramps. That was one of the places where you guys were able to implement. Is that correct, Sandy? All right. Where they were able to implement these mobile devices and actually get the fees collected right there at the boat ramps. Previous to this, all the workers had to do was carry cash. So you can see where that could be, worker walking around with a big wad of cash in his pocket, probably not the best idea when you're out in the park like that. So now we're able to take credit card payments right there at the boat ramps. A couple of the special events that go on. There's a Bark in the Park Festival and also a Hummingbird Festival that's hosted there in Mecklenburg County. At these events, was it last year or 2 years ago? 2 years ago when this photo was taken. This was the very first time credit card payments were able to be accepted at the Bark in the Park Festival. So that's showing where we're going with this. Souvenirs, being able to sell t-shirts and cups and things like that are labeled for those events. Yes, sir.
Did you have the VLAN off?
How do we do it, basically?
Yeah, for PCI compliance on mobile devices.
All right. So for this, what we were doing is we were actually using MiFi's, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Sandy. We were using Verizon MiFi's, the 4G LTE out in the field, and all of the PCI stuff was captured inside of our VMware session. So that's where all of that compliance and rules and regulations fell into place.
Yeah, and the way that VMware session, once you log off of that desktop, the desktop is destroyed.
Thank you very much. Also aquatic center fees, being able to collect those fees there at the aquatic centers, things like that, so that they're not having to deal with a lot of cash. We also are now able to offer more services for our county residents, being able to offer the souvenirs and being able to take the payments right there on the site. We actually have park and rent guys that are there. Whenever you come up to make a reservation for one of the facilities, they can actually do all of that standing with you right there at the facility. You don't actually have to go to a main facility now and reserve those types of rooms and things. And also, again, we already hit that with the safety of employees not carrying the cash. So with this, we were the winners of the DGAA award in 2013. This was for our one initiative, basically, one person, one device, where we tried to eliminate people having to carry a laptop, an iPad, and a cell phone. We got it down to where they were just having to carry a cell phone and a tablet, or in some cases, just a cell phone. And I told you guys that our VMware can run on pretty much any device. One of the things that we were able to test was actually getting rid of computers completely, using the zero clients, virtual desktops. Also, one of the things that I was able to test out was being able to use Samsung Note 3 with a docking station, hook the docking station up to a full-size monitor, full-size keyboard, running VM session on my phone, and that was my PC. I ran that for several months, actually, and it worked great, except there was a little problem when you right-click it, disconnect it. I'm still working through that one, so we'll figure that one out. So that $3.2 million cost avoidance. Also, the increased productivity. I can't say enough about how much more our mobile workers are more productive because of having access to all of this stuff at their fingertips, using VM, signing in, having everything available to them just like if they were in the office. The award winner there, one-to-one initiative, one person, one device. We leverage our partnerships there with Microsoft, VMware, and Ventry. Also, we have a VMware enterprise agreement in place. It reduced our overall costs because of having that enterprise agreement. And professional development opportunities. Training and customer service is pretty much where I've cut my teeth at the county. I've been with the county for a little over 14 years. Started there on the help desk, kind of migrated up to a team lead, then into the training opportunity, now the customer experience management where I'm at now. And so being able to have the knowledge and share the knowledge. In our organization, what we've noticed is a lot of people think that knowledge is power. That's not the case. Whenever you do that, it starts leading to silos, leads to basically your group having all of the knowledge of their particular area, the best way to put it. Then they get bombarded with questions, and then they start getting overworked, and they get stressed out because people are asking them so many questions. Then that leads to more staff, and then it's just a snowball effect from there, right? So being able to share that knowledge across groups. I've had the desktop guys come to me here recently and say, hey, how are you setting up these Windows 8 tablets? It's great to be able to share that information with them. And the other thing is what I kind of let off on was the end user training. Whenever we started with this, the county had no real technical training available. We have the touchy feeling, what's your type, and the Covey 7 Habits training. There's nothing wrong with that type of training, but where we were lacking was our actual end user training. Because as I said, IT typically is known for getting a piece of equipment, they come, drop it on the computer, on the customer's desk, walk away and say, thank you, have a great afternoon. Our IT guys are kind of like ghosts. They just come in, a computer magically appears, and they're out, and the customer never even saw them. So we saw that that was a big selling point for us, was being able to actually offer that training to the customers, hands-on, one-on-one with the customer. Yes, sir?
You also run your videos off of Chromebooks?
Yes. Pretty much anything you can, well, I don't know on that one. I really don't know on that one. We haven't tested those. But from what I understand, you can run it on just about any platform that is out there. I know we have tested it on Macs, PCs, Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows XP actually, iPhone, Android, Windows Phone. Seems like there was one other one that we did test it. I don't think we tested it on Chromebook. So, the last slide that I had, and I told you guys, I'm not going to keep you here for 3 or 4 hours. Questions and answers. I would be more than happy to take any questions that you have, but I also wanted to kind of give you guys a chance to mingle, ask questions of each other, ask questions of me. But for the most part, that concludes everything that I needed to tell you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it, and please feel free to ask me any questions that you like. Thank you for coming this morning. Yes, ma'am.
What is public safety use? Do they have any mobile devices besides a laptop?
Public safety. I'm trying to think what they do have. I believe the only thing that they do have are the laptops. I know our sheriff's department and also the police department both use laptops in the cars. We're also using some of the Verizon private broadband for that. Yeah, they've got a lot of the zero clients that we're using. So basically with that, you don't have a PC or anything, you just have, some of them just, well, any of y'all been in IT more than about 10 or 15 years? Y'all know what a dumb terminal is? Okay, I think we were talking with you last night about that. We had a conversation with a couple people last night. IT's in this big cycle where everything's back to a dumb terminal. It's basically a dumb terminal. There's no hard drive, no memory. It's just a terminal to access. So I know they're using that.
We only support the county. The county only supports the sheriff's. CMPD is with the city, so I have no idea what they're doing. We don't talk to them.
And I don't know if Surface is going to be able to.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's also been one of the things where our area, the customer experience team, has stepped in. A lot of teams, and we had this happen with our Department of Social Services. They ordered the Dell XPS 12s, and like I said, I love the Dell XPS 12. The problem with them that I saw was the stylus. So to use the XPS 12, what they wanted it to do was to be able to capture signatures at a client's house. So they're doing face-to-face interviews, be able to sign on. If any of y'all have ever signed anything like with an iPad, you know that little squishy stylus that comes with that? That's the kind that the Dell you have to order. Not good for signatures. The Surface has a lot better of a pinpoint on it. Yeah, exactly, thank you. It has a lot better of a pinpoint on it, so being able to just sit down with the customers and ask the question, what exactly do you want it to do, is a key to that. You got a question?
Verizon private network, are all of your mobile devices with a data plan on Verizon, or do you have some that are not Verizon private?
Basically, everything that's on our private are the ones that will be transmitting the HIPAA or the PHI data, so the only group of ours that's using that is the transportation services. Everything else is on a standard Verizon plan.
That future roadmap say that way, or the plan for
As far as I know, it is. As far as I know.
how many city Verizon devices that?
MTS, from what I understand, I believe they have about 250 employees, and they're van drivers, bus drivers, things like that. But everybody else, the other 3,000 or so devices, they're the ones that are on the standard Verizon.
So they could be, so they're out there doing BDI and stuff like that, across that, you're not concerned about
Correct.
your private information.
Correct. And the main reason is because of VMware. Whenever you connect up to VM, that basically makes your channel at that point secure. I hate to use the word it gives you a tunnel, but that's basically the way that it does. It's replacing things like VPN, where you have like a client where you have to VPN in. VM completely replaces that. So once you're connected to that, you're inside of that tunnel that is secure and encrypted. Yes.
Right here, and connect to my desktop, or connect straight to my desktop in Charlotte, but I still have to credential in and have access to it.
Anything else? Well, guys, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. If not, sorry about that. Have a great day.